river Reitdiep essentially begins its life in the city at Groningen in the northeast of the Netherlands. It meanders across some 50 kilometers of flat plain to eventually join the North Sea. Once upon a time, the river's meanders were profuse, a maze of slowly moving water with numerous tributaries, stagnant lakes, ponds, marsh and bog, all influenced by the ebb and flow of the tides of the North Sea. Now, after a period of human habitation of nearly 2,500 years, the Reitdiep meanders have been cut and shortened, and the river's freedom curtailed by canals and locks. Its marshes have been drained, and the tributaries controlled by dikes and ditches. Once upon a time, the sea frequently swept far inland, and the very first settlers slowly colonized the flat, treeless plains by building terps or weirden, low mounds of gravel, sand, mud and silt scraped up with bare hands and primitive tools so that their feet might be kept dry and their cattle kept safe from drowning. There are probably some 3,000 of these terps scattered across the whole of the Reitdiep valley. Some have been washed away as the river and its tributaries changed their course. Others were joined together in chains and terp communities to become the location for villages, and in some cases small towns. To build a church on the site of the terp was a true committal of confidence that the water could be challenged with man becoming the victor. The Reitdiep valley is full of these signs of human confidence. When the railways first came to the Reitdiep Valley in the 1840s, the farmers, used to slow-moving silent transport by boat, were convinced that the steaming locomotives would panic the cows. The milk would turn sour at the fearful speed of things, the heavy carriages would sink into the marshy soil, and the fields would catch fire. By the 1860s, the valley was crisscrossed by rail tracks, joining up the small villages, with milk halts at every big farm. There had been a huge investment in bridges across innumerable streams and ditches. By the 1920s, most of the local rail connections had gone. The small stations had been abandoned. The unmanned level crossings were no longer a hazard for wandering cows. The age of the railways had been short. There was a new transport driven by petrol-fueled combustion engines running on pneumatic tires on asphalt roads. The abbot Amo at Wittenvirum near Groningen in the 1240s wrote a journal of some 100 pages. It's a modest volume not given to great calligraphic flourishes. It is a confessional, an account of monastic work, a consideration of the times, a history book. It was written on parchment made from animals who had occasionally been bitten by insects. The pages are cut according to the quality of the skin. They have been pricked and lined to assist the writer to perform his task with black and red ink, writing with a quill, possibly the feather of a goose or a swan. The abbot writes of the Crusades, of sin and damnation, of his own guilt at taking ecclesiastical preferment, of struggles with his landed neighbours, and of the inclement weather that ferociously storms across the landscape of the Reitdiep as an indication of God's displeasure.